Good evening. It's Monday, December 20th, 2021. Welcome to the last Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission meeting of the year. My name is Dwight Otwell. I'm the current chair of this commission. And first up on our agenda is going to be introductions. And I'm going to run through the list because it works so much faster this way online. I introduced myself, Dwight Otwell, the chair. Nick Neptune is our vice chair, and he's currently having connection issues, but he should be joining us soon. Commissioner Elizabeth Alley is the chair of our policy committee, and she will be joining us late. I think she's in a meeting with Michael Moore right now. Commissioner Carrie Barsness is currently in the policy committee. That's right. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can do this by memory. And Commissioner Susan Hatchell is currently in our outreach committee. We have Commissioner Celise Bravo Taylor. I'd like to welcome you to the commission. Thanks for coming. We'll work with you on getting you into an appropriate committee. We'll talk with the committee heads and get that done soon. And you'll kind of get a taste for what they're doing during this meeting, hopefully. Commissioner Pierre Tong is the chair of our planning committee. Commissioner Kelly Woodall, I do not see joining us yet tonight, and Commissioner Joe Caruso is, I'm sorry, I said that Commissioner Alley was the chair of the policy committee, but that is old information. Commissioner Joe Caruso is the current chair of the policy committee. I apologize for that slight. Commissioner Brian Thomas, Commissioner Mary Jo Gellenbeck, and Commissioner Shakima McLean round out the list. And Commissioner Thomas is currently on the...
I'm here.
Hey, Shakima.
Pizza.
Commissioner Thomas, let me see. I'm going to have to guess between planning and policy. You're going to have to help me. It's been a while since I looked at the sheet. Mary Jo is certainly on the planning committee, and Commissioner McLean is on the outreach committee. And with us tonight, I see we have Paul Callum, who is the Assistant Director of the Raleigh Transportation Department. We have Barbara Godwin, who will be taking care of the technical portion of this meeting and running the detail side of things. And is Miss Person on tonight? Looking at the list, I don't see if we have V on tonight.
She's not.
She's not on. And on the agenda, I see we have a staff assistant, Bryce Dunn, but I don't see him either. So I'm sure we'll announce folks as they come in and out, and we expect a couple people to come in late. All right. Moving on, we'll come to approval of the minutes from the November 15th meeting. Has anybody read the minutes and can make a motion to approve? Well, if not, please take a moment. Yeah. So Commissioner Caruso, would that be a motion to approve? I'll go ahead and second that. All in favor? Please raise your hand. And there's a couple folks that I'm not seeing video. I think we need video for these meetings and these votes, if you will correct me, Ms. Godwin. If you're having difficulties, please get in touch with Barbara. But if you have the option, please turn on your cameras when it's time for a vote. But we'll go ahead and take the vote with the hands that we saw. All right. Coming up next on the agenda, we have a new agenda item. This is going to be one of our late arrivals today. So I will push this agenda item off. Commissioner Jones from the Parks, Recreation, and Greenway Advisory Board is our liaison, and she's going to give us a report on the current goings on of the Greenway Board. But we'll push that off to later in the meeting tonight when she joins us. And please forgive me, I have been rousted from my normal workstation, so I'm kind of digging through my notes here. All right, coming up next is public comments. Great. I should have remembered. Ms. Godwin, do we have anybody that wishes to make a comment from the public, or are they just viewing tonight?
Okay, so I've just sent a chat that if anyone wants to make a public comment, just please message me. And if not, I'll turn it back over to the chair.
Thank you very much. I just got word that Commissioner Neptune has joined the party. So welcome. There you are. I'm not sure what was going on there. I had the same issues. And Mary Sell is trying to join from the public side, and she's not in, but she's going to keep trying, and we'll take her comments and attach them to the minutes if she can't make it. So we will move on from public comments to presentations.
Chair Otwell, I'm sorry to interrupt. We do have someone that would like to make a public comment, and I'm going to promote them to a panelist shortly.
All right, well, let's go ahead and do that then. And we keep this very informal, so please keep it appropriate and focused, and look forward to hearing what they have to say.
Pat, thanks again for letting me make a comment. I just saw in the invitation that it seemed pretty broad about talking about like different topics relating to improving pedestrian experience. So I just want to make this comment. So I live near Peace Street, and I've noticed that after like the last few months of like living here, that I feel like the cars go very fast and people cross the street like not on the crosswalk, like in between the crosswalk. I'm trying to look at the Google map to say precisely what part. Sorry, it's like between Gaston and Boylan Ave, North Boylan Ave, and Peace and Glenwood. And yeah, I've seen like a couple of times when someone like could have been hit by a car, like cars are not slowing down. So I feel like, I'm just gonna keep bringing this up. It might be annoying, but I feel like this is not a very safe place for pedestrians. And I know there was a project that was set in place to add bike lanes and things like that for P Street, but I think given that there's more construction in the area and a new apartment complex there, and there's going to be more pedestrian traffic, I think this is something that needs to be thought about. Especially, I noticed like kids like from the school cross to go to McDonald's like every day, and they're just like, doing their thing. And I go around the same time to get my Starbucks, but yeah, it's just like concerning how fast these cars are going. And also the crosswalks, like at the later blocks, they take too much time. And so people just cut them. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Thanks.
Hey, thank you for attending, and we really appreciate the comments. One of our main mission points for the Bpac is to create a forum for these kind of conversations, and your comments will be included in the minutes and put on the public record. And we report to the council each year and give it a overview and summary of the public comments that we've received. So I encourage you to keep coming back and to continue to engage council and find all the surveys and responses that you can online. And thank you again. Is that it for now, Ms. Godwin?
Yes, that was the only request we had.
All right, thank you. And I think Christina Jones is still trying to get him. I'm texting with her, so she's trying. I told her just to keep trying.
No, I'm here.
Oh,
I got it. I'm here.
So if you were ready to jump right in, we missed you in the first round of introductions, but I'd like to introduce Christina Jones. She is our liaison from the Parks, Greenway, Recreation and Greenway Advisory Board. So she is going to give us an update of the things that have been going on her side of the fence that pertain to the bicycle and pedestrian world. And if anybody on the commission has comments for her that they would like to bring back to the Parks Board, I think this would be an appropriate time to bring that up. So I will turn it over to Ms. Jones.
Hi guys, thank you so much. I am not on video right now. I'm in the car and it's dark anyway, so I'll stay off video. But thank you so much for having me. We actually just had our Christmas, or I don't know if we call it Christmas, but our holiday meeting last Thursday. And we've been doing a lot. We talked about the Gibson, and I'm sure you guys have heard about that through the news, but the Gibsons have donated $10 million to the Plaza and Play over at Dick's Park. And we have worked towards opening up the possibilities of a public-private partnership in allowing different organizations to donate to different parks. And right now that's how the Gibsons were able to donate. So we have a lot of stuff happening there. I'm also the chair of the Parks Committee, and we are looking to do an event, hopefully kind of like the year with the Parks Board. And what we want to do is highlight a community center in each district throughout the year next year. And we haven't settled on those dates or those locations yet, but we're looking to see how we can connect with different groups like Bpac, like the Raleigh Youth Advisory Council, to see how we can bring, especially our newcomers. Our mission for this event is for all of the new people that are moving to Raleigh, so that we can advise them on what the Greenway system is like and what our park system is like, because it's so amazing and it's so massive that it could be overwhelming to people who have just moved here. So that's definitely one of my initiatives as the Parks Committee Chair. I'm trying to think of other things. We have our Flood Fletcher Awards. We will begin talking about that in January. We have nominations coming up. So if you have an outstanding volunteer in our park system that you know about, please don't hesitate. And I'm pretty sure it's the beginning of January, but I'll get you that date, a better date, because I didn't write that down. But it'll be open for 3 weeks, and it'll be an online submission that you can submit your nomination, and then they will review and go back to the Parks or the Fred Fletcher Committee to discuss winners for our May meeting. And depending on, right now it's intended to be in person, but I'm sure, as we all have seen, I'm not sure what Omicron will do, if that will force it to go virtual at this moment, but I will keep you updated. I think that's all I have for now, but if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Open the floor to the commission if anybody has any comments or questions. If anybody's had a chance to review the Greenway plan, this might be a good chance. I know that Ms. Jones has been involved in keeping an eye on that one as well. All right. Well, let's keep this moving on along, and maybe we can get home early tonight. That's great. Ms. Jones, thank you for your time, and we'll continue to engage and send you some questions if we come up with them. One of the things that came up during some of our discussions was a crossover item of concern is the open streets and the desire of the Bpac to see that event continue. And we've had some discussions that perhaps the open streets could be flexible to showcase a different portion of the city. And Ms. Jones and I were considering that we could explore a collaboration between and kind of combine those two events to try to highlight a community center and focus it around that neighborhood and open up that community to walking safely.
Yes.
So that might be something we could send to one of our committees for contemplation.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you again. And moving right on along, we come to the review of the fiscal year 2021 work plan. And this was an attachment on the agenda, so hopefully everybody has a chance to download it and take a look at it. And so I'll run through the general commission initiatives real quick, and I will just give a quick comment or question, and I would welcome comments at that point for these general initiatives, and then I'll turn it over to the committee heads to go over the individual committee points and what we think has been worked on well and continues to be, like, it's either done in progress or we need to change tracks. And so I think we can take a quick look through this work plan and focus our efforts for next year. Is there any questions or comments before we jump in? Wonderful. All right. So provide a forum for public discussion. I think that we've been doing a great job, and Commissioner Neptune in particular has been proactive in going out and reaching some of these communities and bringing them in to talk, and Commissioner Hatchell as well. I'd like to commend y'all both. And I think it's in progress and we should keep going. Commissioner Barsness, yes.
Possibility that you can actually put it on the screen.
I believe there is.
Thank you.
But that one's just kind of standard and it keeps going. And I don't think that we need to tweak it too much unless anybody has any comments, wants to take it to the next level. So I'll just kind of give that one a check for now. Encourage swift implementation of safe non-automobile infrastructure policy updates that affect such, acknowledging that deaths and injuries suffered by people not in automobiles are at an all-time high and rising and disproportionately impact culturally diverse communities. And so this is one of those aspirational ones that I think is nice to have on the work plan. It's hard to relate it to direct project work or efforts that we've been going through, but I think that we've been engaged with council and staff and have been emphatic in our views about this and desire to see it done. Is there any comment on this? Does everybody like seeing this? Does it need to be focused on better? I'll go ahead and say that we're keeping up to date with that one. Become educated on the current state of the city's policy planning and implementation efforts that affect pedestrian and bicycle safety. Collaborate with council members to ensure the city remains focused on eliminating deaths and injuries from routine use of Raleigh's transportation systems. Provide feedback to city council on the city's successes and outstanding challenges in meeting standards for pedestrian and bicycle access and safety laid out in Raleigh's vision, policy, planning, documents, and statements. I think that this is a long way of saying that we listen to the staff and we study the policies and the planning documents necessary for us to understand the context of the issues that we're discussing. I think that we've been doing a good job of this. And the other half is the communicating that back to the city council. And I think that we will put that effort into our report at the end of this fiscal year. So I'm happy with that. Are there any comments? And with this picture showing, I can only see a few folks at a time on the screen, and I'm on my little laptop. So please shout out because I can't see hands at this point. Or raise your hand and somebody else see it and shout out for me. All right, receive reports from and provide feedback to city staff on programs and initiatives that pertain to pedestrian, bicycling, alternatives transportation, and micromobility issues. This includes, but is not limited to, the Departments of Transportation, Parks, Recreation and Cultural Resources, Planning, etc. This is the standard work plan item that allows us to work with staff on the projects that they decide is important to bring before us and get our feedback. I think that that's one of our major roles and it's working well. All right. Review and provide formal recommendations on the city's Greenway System Master Plan update. And we did, I think, a great job on that. We had special ad hoc committee that took a special look at it, and it came before the commission several times. I think that we'll see it one more time, but I feel thoroughly pleased with that one. And I would say that's complete. Our role there is done. Any comments there?
My only comment would be there seems to be one more meeting in January.
There is, I mean, unless we want to bring the walls down on somebody, that this is a chance for them to show us what they've done and us to either decide to endorse it or not. I think that the opportunity for drafts and edits is over. So, I mean, it will come before us, and I'm sure people will have comments, but it's going to be like, yeah or nay. All right. Last, collaborate with the city's Parks, Recreation, and Greenway Advisory Board on means to improve safety on the city's Greenway system and provide the city council with recommendations. That was a specific request from council when we put this work plan out, and we deployed a specific ad hoc committee to discuss this as well. Participated in discussions that were led by the Parks Department and include the Police Department, and delivered reports, and the council received them. So this is done and over. And that brings us to the Outreach Committee. Commissioner Neptune, if you could take over running through your committee's points and assess where we are and if we need to reevaluate.
Chairman Otwell, for the Outreach Committee, we have 4 work plan items. We'll start at the top. Reviewing Bpac procedures for selecting, discussing, and prioritizing commission business and providing recommendations to improve equity in commission operations. To put it briefly, the chair and vice chair work alongside city staff to determine our agenda items for the commission. And I think that, you know, as a part of that conversation, it was conveyed that, frankly, equity as a consideration should be considered all throughout. And, you know, it's not simply a matter of having a box to check, but it should be a value and a consideration with every conversation, with every agenda item. That's the bottom line. Up next, study city departments, boards and commissions, private advocacy and business groups to determine areas of shared interest and develop formalized relationships to foster cross-awareness and collaboration. I'll tell you what, I would say, you know, in brief, that it has been a great year of activity as it relates to that exploration. Again, of all the various city departments and, you know, public and private entities that the commission could work with, listen to, engage, and et cetera. You know, you can go back to Bike Month and that sort of set of programming, or as more recently, Walktober, and the set of programs and activities and events throughout that, you know, robust month of activation to take a look at all the various, you know, partners and opportunities. You know, we had to collaborate with folks, again, from all parts of our city and our community, again, from the public to the private sector. And it's been very exciting to you know, really make an effort to engage with a lot of folks. You know, obviously, you know, we've been partners with the nonprofit Oaks and Spokes for a long time. But beyond that, really trying to, you know, explore and consider, you know, relationships across, you know, the business community, the development community, to sort of get ahead of, you know, these conversations as it relates to bicycling and pedestrian infrastructure, and to be advocates and partners in seeing that facilitated, celebrated, and improved upon. So again, just bottom line, I think it's been a great year of activity with
I'd like to add to that one as well. I think that the having Ms. Jones from the Parks Board come and speak and engaging those liaisons is really important. And I would like us to consider not just the outreach board, but if people have issues that are important to them, that we can attend other commissions and boards and bring back reports and bring questions and concerns to those boards as well. I think that's be worth exploring as part of this work plan item in the next year.
Agreed. The third item here, creating periodic reports to update district council members on pedestrian and bicycle issues within their districts. I mean, I know, you know, we had that conversation, and, you know, I think given the context of our reduced staff and staffing and transition, this is sort of an item that's, I suppose, still very much a work in progress. You know, I don't know, Chairman Otwell, if you have anything you'd like to add to that, but I think it's, to put it briefly, you know, an item that I think we still would like to explore, but, you know, in the context of a staff and transition, you know, we're very pressed in terms of the capacity to create these, you know, periodic reports. We did have access to some pre-existing reports and studies and, you know, on walkability and bikeability in the city and et cetera, that our colleague with city staff, Person, was able to share with us. They were able to review and, you know, discuss. But as far as, I think, staff generating new reports, you know, I think that's sort of an item still a work in progress. So again, unless Chairman Otwell, you have anything to add, I would just leave it at that.
Yeah, I will say that this is probably, we've had a lot of discussions about this work item, and I think the idea behind it is to communicate more with the council the issues that we're dealing with and engage more of them actively. The way that this work plan item is worded, it's really not our role to create these kinds of reports, and we don't have the capacity to do that kind of work, and not appropriate to ask staff to do that. So yeah, it's going to, when we give our final report, we're going to say that this is an idea that continues to need refinement. Agreed.
Last but not least, we have select topics. Give presentations and lead commission discussions on issues pertaining to equity and governance and community engagement. You know, out of the gate, you know, we adopted the work plan here back in October 2020, and I think it was by the next month we had invited the city's, at that time, community engagement consultant, Mickey Fern, to chat with our commission about the work, you know, he was involved with. But again, I think that, you know, even outside of that, you know, the commission has made an effort to incorporate equity as a consideration in every conversation wherever possible. Because at the end of the day, again, it shouldn't be treated as a box to be simply checked. It's frankly something that should be considered, again, every step of the way in every conversation. And I think that's something the commission has made an active effort to facilitate this year. So unless Chairman Otwell, you have any other thoughts or, you know, feedback, I think that the outreach committee has certainly enjoyed, you know, a very healthy amount of activity, you know, from organizing Greenway cleanups to, you know, participating in our open streets, our first ever open streets event, which was a huge success. Many thanks to all the various departments across city staff that pulled that off, from transportation, you know, parks and recreation, the Raleigh PD, just, you know, the Urban Design Center. There are so many groups that came together to make that happen. And I think that that's something we're very excited to see happen again, hopefully with more frequency and in other neighborhoods across the city. So, but anyways, with that said, I think outreach enjoyed a good year. So thank you.
Yeah, very much, Mr. Neptune. I will open the floor to any questions or comments about the outreach committee portion of the work plan. As everybody seems to think this is going pretty well, I'm very happy with how the outreach committee has developed over the past few years. Mr. Neptune, you have a comment about your comments?
Well, it was unsaid, but, you know, I would like to acknowledge that the commission also made an effort to engage with our business community wherever there's been tension as it relates to, you know, the investment of our bike facilities that could potentially result in the loss of parking for our business community. In other words, you know, we haven't simply engaged with potential partners, whether they be nonprofit or otherwise, that are simply advocates, you know, loudly and clearly for bike and ped infrastructure, but we've also made an effort to engage with those who feel as if, you know, potential biking infrastructure could be a detriment. You know, I think if anything, you know, we've made an effort to create a space and a platform for all concerns to be heard and to be understood, and ultimately for us to, you know, create an environment where, look, you know, we're growing together as a city. And so we should be in conversation with each other as we continue to do so. And I mean, you know, obviously, as we continue to grow, there is going to be a healthy amount of tension from time to time. But I think at the end of the day, we do recognize that investment in all ages, all abilities, you know, sidewalks and bike lanes, it's a good thing, you know, to have that healthy, sustainable kind of infrastructure. But I just wanted to kind of add that as a note, you know, as it relates to our work with outreach and engagement and the entirety of this commission.
I agree wholeheartedly. The only thing I will add is that we have been in contact with the folks in the new like equity office for Raleigh, and they have let us know that they are aware of the boards and commissions, and they are, you know, considering training and outreach, and that we will be a part of that when it happens. So we will continue to follow up there. Are there any other questions or comments? I think that the outreach committee is doing great. I think that we maybe need to combine and reword some of these to make sure that it fits what our strengths are. But I'm happy with this the way it is, and going forward into the next year. I can't see the panel. Is everybody happy to move on? Yeah. All right. Moving on to the planning committee, I'll turn it over to Commissioner Tong.
All right, we've got 2 bullet points under planning committee, both of them which are pretty similar to each other. We've got review key Raleigh transportation capital projects and other transportation initiatives identified by city staff as having significant pedestrian, bicyclist, and micromobility impact. Provide feedback to staff and provide commentary for city council in the form of approval votes and written comments. And the second one is review city planning documents such as small area plans and BRT corridor plans and work with staff to make recommendations to council on updates needed to meet Raleigh's vision for safe and comfortable walking and biking environments. I think staff has been very proactive on bringing projects to us. So, and we've welcomed the opportunity anytime we get to comment on them.
If I may, the way that these two items are paired is meant to give the planning committee the freedom to respond to staff, and they do a great job and stay busy here with everything that staff brings before us for input and endorsement, clarification, etc. And the other one is to give the planning committee freedom to investigate topics and frankly ask staff to spend some of their time to explain stuff to us. And we have availed ourselves of this specifically with starting a discussion around small area plans and plan developments. And Jason Harden and Jason Myers have begun a discussion about that. And I think that the planning committee stays busy and has an important, straightforward work plan job, and happy to move on. Are there any questions or comments for Mr. Tong?
I don't have anything. I'm good with these.
Great. Thank you very much. All right. And moving on, Mr. Caruso and the policy committee.
So for policy committee, we have three main topics. First one, review city policy, identify and prioritize areas where city policy does not match current best practices for providing equitable access to safe and comfortable pedestrian, bicycle, and micromobility infrastructure. Work with staff to make recommended text changes when necessary. As far as this item, I think that we've been making good progress on that in a number of areas. I think one kind of flagship area recently has been the text change TC3 for effectively having the default development pattern to be providing bicycle facilities that are behind the curb and no longer building painted bike lanes in the roadbed itself, which should dramatically increase comfort and safety. So that has happened already, and there's a number of other items I think we've been working through, and hopefully we'll have more formalized recommendations and changes coming in the next year. The next item, collaborate with staff and consultants to understand best practices, collect data, and develop a scope for a Vision Zero plan. We have, on this item, we have heard a presentation from a consultant group on the scoping of a Vision Zero plan. There has been, I know staff is working on, I'm not sure exactly what the current status is of this very moment, but I know that there is an effort to hire a specific staff member who will be effectively in charge of the Vision Zero plan. I believe they've been hired, but if not, that will be coming next year. So while we do not have like the official actions yet, there have certainly been a number of items and actions going on kind of more in an informal method, and hopefully that really ramps up in the coming year. The third item, explore the Bpac's role in policy creation and capital planning, and how the Bpac collaborates with other boards and commissions to make policy recommendations to council. Example of policy collaboration include Bpac offering guidance on relevant text changes or providing input on the 5-year capital improvement program. This is a little similar to the first item, but I believe this is certainly a very important one. As far as text changes, working with the Planning Commission, I think both from text changes from our direction, so things that we would like to see, and also potentially looking at collaboration on text changes that have an impact on our areas of focus. There, kind of anecdotally, there's been a number of changes, but both positive and some would be considered negative that have gone through the planning process that certainly have an impact on the urban form and bike and ped facilities and how those operate. And I think it would be beneficial to have some additional collaboration on those items as those move through the text change process. As far as the 5-year CIP, as far as I know, we haven't had any direct input in that, but I think that that's something that a lot of the members of the Bpac have kind of mentioned in more abstract terms. I think that if we can start to include collaboration on the capital improvement program, that will certainly have a very large positive impact on achieving a lot of the goals of the Bpac, including building new bike facilities, building out sidewalks, things like that. If we're getting the plans into the funding mechanism to build those facilities, then we should clearly see much. We should see much more facilities being built. So we've also had some conversation kind of in the opposite direction as far as projects that may be more auto-oriented than members of the Bpac and related groups would like to see. So I think as part of CIP, the Bpac can provide some commentary on that as well, not only the projects that are exclusively bike or pedestrian facilities, but also facilities that may impact bike and ped directly or in an indirect manner. So overall, those are kind of the main, the three topic areas. Real quickly on the final point, I think I'd also like to mention, I'm not sure exactly where. I mean, it can kind of fit into all the committees at some level, but as far as additional collaboration, I think it would be beneficial to strengthen a collaborative process with the Raleigh Transit Authority, the Go Raleigh board, because there's obviously a very tight integration between transit and accessing that transit. So there's certainly a number of areas around the city where we have transit service, but accessing the stops or accessing destinations from the stop is not really where I think we would like it to be. So that obviously that touches policy, that touches planning and outreach. So I think that would be under the umbrella of collaboration with other boards. I think that would be something very beneficial to work on in the next year. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Caruso. And the policy committee has been busy, and bandwidth has been really taken up by TC3. Was that TC321? And some of the other discussions going on. There's still a lot to do, and I think that these are pretty good paths, and just keep on pushing away. And I know Commissioner Alley has some specific ideas about policies she'd like to look into. I was hoping she would be able to make it, but it looks like her meeting might have gone long, so we'll catch up with her later. Does the rest of the commission have any comments or questions for Commissioner Caruso? Great. Well, I wanted us to all take a moment to reflect on the work so far that we've done and how we might best position our committees in the next half year to finish out our work plan and see how much we can get done. And we have some new folks coming on, and I wanted to make sure everybody has a chance to get a look at what we're doing and where we are. So, and it also gives us some ideas to start thinking for when we rewrite our work plan next year, coming up at the summer, what's working and what's not, and what we might want to add. I know Commissioner Thomas had some comments for rewording about micromobility and motorized and some of the language, and I think it was spot on. We're stuck with this work plan until we do the next work plan. And we could propose an amendment, but I don't think that it's necessary at this point. I think that those comments should be wrapped up as part of the process when we rewrite the work plan. I see you with your hand. Please go ahead.
Yeah, Dwight, I agree with you on that point. I do have a question though, and I've had a lot of technological difficulties this evening, so this may have already been discussed. So I apologize if I missed that, but I'm just not quite clear on the timing of when we revise and why we revisit the work plan, because this was adopted in October of 2020. It's now December 2021, and we're talking about this as if it's a fiscal year 2021 work plan. And I thought we were already into 2022 fiscal year. And so I'm just a little confused on the timing and sequence of events here and how we normally would revisit the work plan and update it annually.
Well, I would love for staff to save me on this, but I think that this was adopted. I don't think that this was adopted in October of 2020. I think this was 2021 earlier this year. So I think that might be a typo.
This was revisited in August, and it did not change from the 2020 plan.
Great. Wonderful. Yeah, and I think that we try to match the fiscal year. And again, I hope staff will back me up. And we have been postponed and pushed off by COVID and and so we would like to conform to the fiscal year. And I think we're going to try to get back onto that schedule, if that's correct. I'm not sure if we're on I couldn't tell you when the city's fiscal schedule is. Mr. Neptune, please.
Chairman Otwell, I just want to apologize for creating any possible confusion for our fellow commissioner. I think I was looking at a copy of the work plan that was adopted back in October, which was effectively, reapproved, I suppose, back in August of 2021. So that's why I had referenced that October 2020 date. So my apologies, Commissioner Thomas.
Yeah, I think it's on the document as well. Yeah. So I'm just confused still. So as we approach, I think the city is on a July 1st to June 30th fiscal year, I think. So as we approach July 1st, 2022, are we going to be revisiting the work plan then, or is this an annual process? I'm not trying to belabor this. I'm just trying to make sure I understand.
Every year we review the work plan and have to bring it before council and receive approval to do this work. And they, by their grace, allowed us to go a couple months beyond when we should have done it. I think a couple 2 years in a row, but we should be doing this over the summer, reviewing our plan and having a proposal to council in June or July. I believe that's the way it's supposed to work, if Ms. Godwin would back me up.
Okay, thank you. That makes complete sense.
Well, and if I may, Chairman Otwell, I think that we're reviewing it tonight just sort of as a year-end kind of comment as to where we are and making progress on our various work plan items, as we, in advance of the new year and, a new opportunity to kind of come at it with some renewed vigor and energy. Perhaps as we head into, late winter, early spring, we'll already have some thoughts and ideas as to amendments to the work plan, so we can kind of get ahead of it and get ahead of any changes we may want to adopt come, June, July 2022.
Correct. All of my scientific papers, Mr. Thomas, are very weak in the introduction, and I have to be brought along to explain why I'm doing what I'm doing. This is not intended to be a revision of the work plan as it stands. This is intended to be a reflection of our work on the work plan and what we can do for the rest of the year to better attack it.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I think if there are no more questions, we can continue these discussions with our committee heads and continue the work into the new year. I'm happy. So we will go ahead and bring that portion of the agenda to a close. That's right. Okay, and that brings us on to the reports. Is that correct? Report section, and then we will start with the chair's report. And I will say that tying into what Commissioner Caruso was talking about over the past couple months since we've had a proper chair report, Vice Chair Neptune and I have actually met with Nathan Spencer from the RTA to discuss relationships with that board. We have, in the policy committee, discussed reviewing the position of Bpac, where it sits in the city and how it relates to the various processes. And RTA is at a current point in their trajectory and considering their own role going forward. So they're really open to talks, and we just haven't scheduled anything to follow up on that because it's been really busy since the holiday season started, but we'll continue that into the new year. I will mention that this is our first meeting without Eric Lamb, the Transportation Planning Director. So we're sorry to see him go, but I think that we're in a great position to move on, and I will let Mr. Callum talk about the staffing and what the coming year looks like during the staff reports. Speaking of which, Mr. Neptune and I also met with Mr. Callum to discuss transitions coming into this meeting and how to manage these agendas and our different projects and priorities going forward. It was a very general meeting discussing the city hierarchy and our role and goals. And we have a meeting set up next week, again, with Mr. Callum and Mary Sell and some other staff members to discuss the West Street going forward on the north side of Peace and what are options and feasibility and considerations. And then we'll bring a report back before the commission on those topics. And I believe that's all I have for my official report. I'd be happy to answer any questions that might pertain to my role as chair, if anybody has any. And I will propose that we dispense with the committee reports. Committees were all canceled this month, and we just did a pretty detailed review of what the committees have been going over. So I will so move that we dispense with Part 5, Section B of the agenda. Can we get a second? All in favor? Yay. All right, that takes us right on to staff reports, and I will turn it over to Ms. Godwin.
Thank you, Chairman Otwell. I don't have any updates from my area tonight. We are still in the waiting game to get the power turned on at the Longleaf bike share station. And so we're working really closely with Duke to make that happen. But I will be sure to bring some updates back in January.
Mr. Neptune, I see your hand up.
I've got a question for Ms. Godwin about this Longleaf bike share station. When you say have the power turned on, I guess I'm trying to understand what that means exactly because, I guess as a matter of full disclosure, I have made use of that particular station. I've pulled in a Citrix bike and, let it charge there, and I've pulled it out successfully. So I guess I don't quite understand what we're still waiting on with that station.
Is that with the Gateway Plaza station or the Longleaf station on Lane Street?
Station. Longleaf,
Okay.
The hotel. Longleaf,
Okay.
The hotel and lounge.
So if you briefly parked your bike there, it probably just didn't charge it. The station can hold a bike, but there's one last step that has to take place before the station is fully live and incorporated into the larger network. And that's the thing that we're waiting on.
Gotcha. I was just curious. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, very excited to have it come online officially.
Me too.
And Mr. Callum, do you have anything to bring to the commission this evening?
Good evening, everyone. Again, thanks. I'll try to do my best here. I am not Eric Lamb, but I'll definitely want to give y'all some updates here. Y'all touched on a couple of them here. I'm going to go back with a few follow-ups from the November meeting here. So I think Commissioner Caruso had mentioned or asked about a signal there with the 400H development. which is bound by Hillsborough Street. Let's see, Hillsborough, Eatonton, Harrington, and West, about a signal there at Harrington and Eatonton. And I went back and did some research with staff on that. So it looks like there is not going to be any signal proposed there. It looks like the TIA that was done back in 2017 did not propose a signal there. So I just wanted everyone to know that. There was some comments about leaves. I've got some good news here. So I just talked to my counterparts in transportation here. So I know no one can probably see this, but I'll just kind of put a little picture of it here. So we've actually purchased 2 of these. I talked with Chris McGee and again, the counterparts there. So this is actually a multi-hog street sweeper. It basically goes down to about 6 feet and then it can expand out to 8 feet. So we actually had a demo with this actual piece of equipment back in the summer. So had various departments there doing the demo. So everybody's really excited about this piece of equipment. So we have purchased 2 of those. We've got trailers. One of the downsides, we do not or did not get additional staff resources. So I'm trying to work with the current staff, my counterparts over in the field operations side to see how we can kind of, what that path looks like going forward. Talking to them, they said they're probably not going to come in until sometime early next year, just with the backlog of getting equipment in and things. So I just wanted y'all to know we are slowly moving in that direction on trying to chip away at getting some maintenance equipment with our leaf collection here. So just a heads up on that. The chair talked about a meeting next week. I've got Matthew Curry and my parking manager, Mary Sale, and a couple of members here of Bpac. We're going to talk about the West Street, the bike infrastructure north of P Street, kind of looking at feasibility, kind of brainstorming what's the next steps on that. So that meeting is next Wednesday on that. So hopefully we'll kind of have maybe a path going forward. Mary Sale will actually be a part of that conversation also. A couple updates on positions here. So Commissioner Caruso had mentioned the Vision Zero program. So that position is actually advertised right now. So that is out on the street. So I would encourage anybody, from a networking standpoint, please encourage folks to go to our website. That advertisement closes on December the 28th. So again, we've got another week or so on that one. That's with the Vision Zero. The bike and ped position, which as y'all know is Paul Black's prior position. So that is out for advertisement. That actually closes this Wednesday. So I'll probably be able to start looking at applications here after the holidays. So those are those 2 positions. Eric's position will probably be at the beginning of the year. So again, just taking the opportunity to look at the organization when we have vacancies such as Eric. And so again, working with Michael Moore, the director. And so hopefully we will be getting Eric's position out here at the beginning of the year to get advertised. So just a heads up on that one. And let's see, neighborhood bikeway signage. I think Commissioner Tong has been engaged on this. So I'll just tell you, I've met, transportation staff has met with our communication staff. I know there was some concerns around the federal guidelines with the MUTCD standards. So we think have a path going forward on that. So our communications group, our communications department, I should say, is going to be working on a prototype for what the neighborhood bikeway sign will look like. So I'll be sure to bring that forward back to the Bpac here to share that and what that looks like, that prototype. And that is all that I have at this time, Sherry, unless anybody has any questions for me.
I have nothing myself, so I'll turn it over to the commission and Mr. Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Otwell. Just a quick question, Mr. Callum. The Vision Zero position and the, I'm creating the scope of the Vision Zero plan. I know that was part of the policy committee's work plan to collaborate with city staff on that. And I guess I'm just wondering who is ultimately responsible for that? It seems like that would be a city staff task to ultimately lead development of that plan. And then I'm also wondering if the individual who is ultimately hired as the Vision Zero coordinator, will that person have a role also in sort of developing the scope, or do you anticipate that person's going to kind of walk into something where that's already defined, a role that's sort of already clearly defined?
Well, I'll just say, so we just recently got the Vhb study, which is basically looking at kind of planning what a Vision Zero plan would look like and kind of doing comparisons with best cities and kind of looking at best practices here. So I would definitely say the Vision Zero position will be heavily looking at this report and kind of, you know, brainstorming ideas and what this plan will look like, again, along with other city staff. So I think this will be a work in progress, but we just got this report from Vhb here in the last week here, so the final report. So looking forward to working with Bpac, and then of course a lot of our internal departments here and what that plan looks like going forward. But yes, the Vision Zero position will have a heavy presence with the plan going forward.
All right, great. Thank you. I'm really looking forward to that person getting up and running. That's going to be great.
We're excited too, so we're looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Mr. Caruso.
Just had a quick kind of more general question. We were talking about the West Street bike lane project, but I was actually curious if there were what the status of the West Street extension project is. I know that some material went out earlier this year, I believe, that the study was moving forward and things of that nature. I was just in a broad sense, I was curious what the status of that project is, and is it funded? Is it more of like a wish list item for the future? Because that extension is and overall project is going to have a very large impact on a number of other projects in the area and potential high-speed rail and all kind of other longer term projects in the downtown. So I was curious what is going on with that project.
Yes, so there was 10 million appropriated for planning and design purposes here. So again, there is not funding right now for the construction of this, but again, $10 million was set aside for the planning and some feasibility and design work on that. So that's where we are with that right now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we would agree that's a vital part here to the southern part of downtown here.
Who's doing the design on that, Mr. Callum? Is that a NCDOT or is there a consultant?
Yeah, it's consultant with NCDOT and then the city of Raleigh.
You don't happen to know that consultant off the top of your head, do you?
I don't off the top of my head. That's being managed with our engineering services group.
Okay.
So I can find that out though.
Thank you. Sorry, I should think
I
ahead.
believe the consultant is Kimley Horn. I just pulled it up on the website here.
I didn't want to say, I was
thank you.
thinking it was Kimley Home, but I wanted to confirm that. So, but thank you for checking on that, Barbara.
Thank you. Great. Do we have any more questions for Mr. Callum? Thank you very much for your time. Look forward to seeing you over the next few months. That brings us on to section 6, board comments and announcements, general board comments. So I will open the floor. Comments or questions? Mr. Neptune, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman Otwell. Just a brief comment as a follow-up. I think you had mentioned that you and I had an opportunity to sit down for a good hour or so, maybe hour and a half, with Mr. Paul Callum to discuss, Bpac and our city staff, specifically our transportation staff that's clearly in transition. I just want to say that, it meant a lot to me to have that time with Mr. Callum. To hear about his 20 plus years of service with the city, his experience working with Eric and, Paul Black and Fontaine and so many others, B and just everybody else, all of our previous bike ped managers. And, you know, the work he's doing, along with Michael Moore, the director of our transportation department, and all of their colleagues across city staff, you know, Barbara and the whole cast and crew. I think the bottom line is, you know, at first, I think heading into this sort of end of the year season, there was a sense that our transportation team was in the intensive care unit in the ICU. But I want to tell you, after sitting down with Paul Callum, you know, I feel much better about the future of our transportation team. And it means a lot to me to work alongside you, Chairman Otwell, and the rest of our commission supporting Paul and the rest of the city staff as they seek to onboard some, you know, great new talent and new energy. I think this time of transition is a real opportunity to reinvigorate and shake things up in a really positive and healthy way for this city. And I think it's an exciting time. So again, I really just want to thank Mr. Callum for all his work and all his service, and just express my excitement moving forward and working with him as we continue to see our team built out and reaffirmed and you know, reinvigorated in the months and years ahead. So thank you.
No, thank you for the kind words. And like I say, I'm excited about our opportunities going forward. So I've shared that with the chair and vice chair. So again, lots of opportunities going forward here. So excited to support and move these initiatives forward.
Thank you both. Thank you, Commissioner Neptune. And I'd like to note that Commissioner Alley has joined us. Thank you very much. On a normal day, you would still be ready for 2/3 of our meeting, but we're in the midst of wrapping up on what has to be the fastest Bpac meeting in my memory. But we're not there yet, so I shouldn't speak too soon, but you're welcome to join us for the rest of it. Any more general board comments? Ms. Hatchell, please.
That I thought this evening, going through the work plan and the changes that have happened and are going to happen, as Nick just mentioned, with new staff and things, it is an interesting opportunity. I'm kind of coming to the end of my 6 years here on the Bpac, and it's really rewarding at this time, because I may not be back next month, but it's really rewarding to look back at those work plans and to remember the amount of things we've accomplished. And I think that in the past 6 years, I've really seen the board grow and change and prosper. I think it's a great opportunity with all this new staff and energy. So I really wish everyone the best. And I've got to say that I feel very proud of the 6 years that I've put in, and the things that I've been able to accomplish, and getting to know all of you. Some of you not so well in person, but you know, I'm hopeful that maybe in 2022 I can come downtown and visit you, maybe back in the boardroom. But I just really want to say that, you know, looking at those work plans and thinking about the year retrospectively is a great opportunity to, you know, kind of pat all of ourselves on the back. I want to thank all of you for all the hard work you do, whether you're staff or whether you're, you know, just the fellow commissioners. You know, it's like a big ship. You know, you can't really turn it a 180 or 360. It moves a few degrees at a time, and in my 6 years, I've seen it move quite a few degrees, and I'm really proud of that, and all of you should be as well. So, just wanted to say thanks for all you do.
Ms. Hatchell, thanks for your dedication and your leadership as a former chair of the Bpac. Learned so much from you, and can't imagine this commission without you. It's going to be very sad and not quite as colorful. That should remind me to also point out that the vacancy has been announced to the council, and so they are at the next session we'll probably be taking nominations. So if anybody has any recommendations or ideas, get the word out. Time to put in those recommendations and lobby the council folks if they want a shot. But again, thank you, Commissioner Hatchell. It's been a pleasure getting to know you over these past 6 years.
Yeah, well, thank you. I will add, in terms of my replacement, I think I said this at the beginning of the meeting before we were being recorded, but I would like to really recommend that everyone realize that as you get older, your limitations and your abilities kind of shift with time, and those of us who used to be very avid bicyclists become more avid pedestrians. It's not an either or, it's a, you know, kind of both things. But I would really encourage people to be thinking about the fact that, you know, if you're lucky enough to live long enough, you too will become disabled as you start having, you know, problems with hips and knees and heart disease, various things that affect people that do limit their mobility. And so I would really think it'd be lovely for someone to be on the commission to represent you know, people who are becoming more senior in years. And if that doesn't happen, I hope all of you will remember, like I said, that it's really an important factor that the elderly in our society are very much victims of the pedestrian fatalities we see, as well as people of color. So I really hope you'll just keep in mind that you may be active and able to get about, but it's important to watch out for everybody. So thanks.
All right, thank you again. Add a couple comments of my own. I'd like to reiterate that there's a few days left for both the Bikeped program manager and the Vision Zero position. And I encourage everybody to reach out to anybody they might know individually, personally, that would be good for those, and on your LinkedIn and social accounts. Please see if we can get as many high quality applicants for these jobs as we can. And this is a great circle of people to identify some of those folks. So that would do it for me. For any general comments, is there, Mr. Caruso, please?
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to make a comment or I guess a little plug. There's as Commissioner Hatchell mentioned, as far as like moving forward and kind of turning the ship, there's been a number of projects that are either totally complete or nearly complete. I just want to put a little notification or plug out there of all the work that staff has been doing. The Gorman Street connector is more or less complete between Hillsborough and Sullivan Drive, the bridge across the railroad tracks over there. Shanta Drive over next to Wake Med. And East Raleigh now has a separated and protected bike lane, two-way bike lane between New Bern and Milburnie, I believe that is. And I believe it's almost complete. The road diet and restriping on Brentwood between the Beltline and Capitol Boulevard. I haven't been over there in a few weeks, but that is a major enhancement as far as additional facilities and really making that roadway far more pleasant to both pedestrians on the sidewalk and anybody that may want to ride their bike or access transit in on that street. So I just wanted to kind of let people know that a lot of projects have been coming online recently, and to thank the staff for all the work that they do to bring these projects online. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Caruso. It has been a very productive year. Any more comments? All right, we will move on to upcoming events, and the one that's listed on the agenda is the next bike meeting, the next Bpac meeting. So besides that, are there any more upcoming events folks would like to list? It's a slow time of year. All right. We have our next Bpac meeting will be, I think it says here, there, Monday, January 24th at 6 p.m. Is that a conflict for anybody? Great. Move on from that. And I'd like to thank everybody for a great year, and thank you for making time right here before holidays start to attend this meeting. And I hope everybody has a wonderful time, get some time off, and look forward to getting back at it strong at the beginning in January. Reach out, and I'll be happy to talk about any of this over the next few weeks. All right, I'll adjourn this meeting. Thank you very much. Everybody have a good evening.